Now, there's a booming economy. Long periods of stability usually result in more wealth for a country, right? So if you're stable, you get wealth. If you have an interruption, like let's say coronavirus, then your economy can be interrupted and there can be issues of recovery and gain and balancing and all that kind of stuff, right? So farmers increased production. They grew two crops in the same piece of land. They're able to start thinking, how can we best use what we have? The population increased in urban centers, road improvements, silver and gold coins were introduced as currency or money instead of just rice. They're like, rice, it's not shiny. Let's use some more gold. I don't know. However, little foreign trade they continued to use rice as payment though, because it held the economy back, right? Because they weren't letting many people in, it didn't really help them get more rich. Booming economy, keep going. This 18th century image by an unknown artist is called Sado Gold Mine. It shows gold coins being stamped and weighed. After centuries of an economy based on rice, what challenges might people face in switching to a money economy? If we suddenly just said, you know what, instead of dollar bills, we're going to change our economy to post-it notes, okay? And, yellow ones are worth this much, green ones, pink ones are worth this much. What about the people that still have the old type of money? Like those people that had tons of rice, they thought they were so rich, and then suddenly it all changes, right? Crazy. As a direct result of peace and prosperity, the arts and culture were able to flourish. Look at the arts and culture, so nice, okay. Kabuki, shown here, is a form of theater. Male actors played both male and female roles. The productions are lavish and sometimes violent. What other society do you know that restricted theatrical roles to males only, right? When we look back in Elizabethan times, right, William Shakespeare, there was no woman playing Juliet. It was a man, right? So it's very interesting. They were, it was the same kind of thing here. Male actors played both male and female roles. A golden age of culture. The purpose of the rituals of the Japanese tea ceremony is to bring enjoyment and peace of mind to the participants. So, sumo wrestling originated in ancient times. It became a popular form of entertainment in Edo, Japan. Before, though, it was a religious performance. Haiku, which you guys should be very familiar with, was a new poetry form in the Edo period. The formal structure of syllables paints a brief word picture that offers insight into life. What is the format of haiku? You should know it. 575. Okay. In puppet theater, or bunraku, large, almost life-sized puppets enact the ordeals of separated lovers or dueling samurai. So they even did puppet theater, which is super cool. There was also kendo, which was a martial arts, and it taught techniques of how to kill people, to develop the person, especially the samurai, through a well-disciplined life, right? So there's lots of different cultural activities. The rules and controls of the Tokugawa society were relaxed. Men could temporarily unwind and enjoy themselves once they fulfilled their duties to occupation and family. The shogun tried to suppress the theater, but instead of closing the business, the authorities kept the entertainment districts under surveillance, right? So rather than close it and have people revolt, they just put cameras everywhere, right? And made sure to watch it. Now, they didn't have cameras back then. They put people there, right? Okay, now, lots of things are happening. Here comes the cracks in the foundation. The feudal society had been created during a time of conflict and poverty and was becoming outdated, right? So it's just like the way that people look at the work weeks that we have, right? We have Monday to Friday, you work 9 to 5. That was created back in the Industrial Revolution with Henry Ford and the assembly line, right? We know this. So this is why everyone's like, why can't we do a 4-day work week? Why can't we do half our jobs online? I really, really miss teaching you guys in the classroom. I would be kind of sad if I had to do this all the time because I don't really get to see your reactions. We don't get to have discussions, right? So people are just wondering about changes. They don't want a drastic change like this, for instance. So they're looking at, okay, what can we do to change a little bit? What about storing the rice and converting it into cash or credit? Is that a thing? Peasants needed money to pay their taxes. The daimyo were spending all their money on alternate attendance and road construction and were nearing bankruptcy. The samurais had no real jobs because there's really nothing to do. Some went against the rules by marrying merchants' daughters, so everyone was looking for someone to blame, and that was usually the shogun and his extravagant officials, right? People blame the government. It still happens today. People thought the emperor should have the power power and not the shogun. Makes sense, emperor, right? In the late 1700s and early 1800s, many natural disasters also started to strike Japan, which brought about a famine and took many lives. People fled to the cities, price of rice was rising steeply, and there were many riots over the way the shogun were handling the situations. So then there was an expansionist threat from outside. By the 1800s, many nations wanted to trade with Japan or at least get supplies for their passing ships, and the shogun responded by saying, no second thought, expulsion order. Whenever a foreign ship is sighted approaching at any point on our coast, all person on hand should fire on it and drive it off. If the foreigners force away their shore, you may capture and incarcerate them, and their mother ship approaches, you may destroy it. Whoa. Like, just, oh no, there's a ship in the distance. Pow, 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 pow. That's a lot. Okay. The reasons for the United States' interest in Japan, though, were largely based on geography, economics, or both. So, if you look at the common thing in that 1430 there figure, the United States had huge investment in the whaling industry in the Pacific. The United States needed stations between San Francisco and Canton where whaling ships could refuel and get supplies. So, were these reasons enough, though, for the United States to try to force its way into Japan, break open a country that had declared itself closed to most Western countries for more than 200 years? That's the thing to think about. Who's in the right here? So, lots to think about in chapter 14. Okay, really explore that topic. We could almost make that an essay topic, right? If somebody says, hey, we're closed off to the world, just don't disturb us, we won't disturb you, everybody's happy. The people in that country seem to want more. Is it the job of another country outside of it to force its way in? So the biggest question to ask is it enough to force your way into a country? Is there any reason that is enough to force your way into a country? This is going to be the reflection that I want you to do for us. So the question, and I'll post it on D2L, is, were the reasons of just having a refueling ship, anything like that, were those strong enough reasons for the U.S. to go into Japan? If you want to look at it more broad, is there ever a reason to invade a closed-off country? They say, look, we're not here to bother you, you don't bother us. Is there a reason big enough? What are the reasons in your mind to invade, or should you just leave them alone? This question will be posted a lot more clearly in D2L in the post with this video link attached. So go on to D2L, answer that question in Google. Actually, not in Google. It's in a D2L Dropbox. It'll all be in there, okay? So with that, that's it for our video. Thank you very much for watching, and happy reflecting.